Hey everybody, welcome to Repair Air. I really hope you enjoy this piece of magic. It's really easy to make. The handling is very straightforward. It looks good on social media. It looks good up close and in person. So let's get into exactly how we make it. And before we do, make sure you hit subscribe. So please do hit subscribe for me and make sure you turn the notifications on. Anyway, let's get into the explanation. Have you hit subscribe yet? Hit it. Okay, so let's take a little look at exactly how we make the gimmick. So when I perform this, I personally use picture cards. To make the gimmick, you do not need to use duplicate cards. I'm just doing that because I have them ready to pick up. And all you're going to do is apply a little bit of glue. And I'm going to just give that a little bit of a smear like this. And so that this will dry a little bit quicker. And the reason why I am adding this glue is because what I am doing is effectively just attaching the playing cards together. So I am going to be cutting along the cards and I need two cards that are basically identical. So I'm going to allow that to dry whilst I grab some scissors. A little thing before I actually cut this, I'm going to be cutting from one corner right along to create this little zigzag effect, almost as if the card has been ripped. And of course, I know that that doesn't look like it's actually been ripped. So if you want to, you can just actually rip the card and do it like that. That will work absolutely fine. So now let's get these cut. Alright, I'm going to just place that back together, make sure it is aligned. The glue isn't quite dry yet, but I'm just going to get on with it. And this is just going to be a little bit of a wonky line, and that's going to help me create the illusion in a moment. So now what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this, which is an adhesive felt, and this is a really nice felt. It's got a very smooth finish to it. Now I'm going to take the two pieces of cards that we've just cut, and I'm going to place the Queen of Diamonds on like this, but then I'm going to peel it right back off, just like this. And what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to see exactly where the magnets need to go, so I don't need to guess where the magnets are going to go. I should have mentioned earlier on that magnets are going to be used, so I'm going to take some of these, and all I'm going to do is just position them right over here. So now I'm putting them exactly where I need them, and I need 3 magnets in total. So there's 1, there's 2, and there is magnet number 3. So I'm just going to drop that around about there. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'll need the magnets again in a moment, but now I'm just going to take this little piece of card and I'm just going to drop it right back on, covering it where it roughly was. Whoops, sorry, it's connected already. That's a little bit too high. So I'm connected right here. And just to show you and to check for myself, I'm going to take 3 more magnets and I'm just going to drop them, and it's going to show me exactly where they sit. And that is, yeah, that's great. That will do me perfectly. So I need 3 more magnets in a moment. So I'm going to take these 3 magnets just for now and I'll place them over here. So the next little job we need to do is to take a piece of actual black cardboard, and all I'm going to do is just cut 2 squares. Now these 2 squares are going to be used in a moment, and they're going to be acting as like a little lock-in mechanism which is going to lock onto the gimmick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the magnets, I'm going to take the piece of card, and I'm just going to place it on top like so. Now there's a little bit here which is slightly over protruded. That's perfect because in a moment it's going to be doubling up almost as a little flap on the card. Now I'm looking for my glue. Apply a tiny amount of glue. That's way too much because I want it to dry really quickly. I'm not actually gluing it into position because this is going to be going back onto the card, so I'm only adding a tiny amount of glue, and that little bit of glue is going to dry in just a moment, and it's going to allow me to turn this back on itself. And when I do that, it's going to help create this little flap, like fold on the card. So that is now re-adhered. So all I'm going to do is align this and just push it back, and now I'm going to drop it on its front like this. So now what I've done is trap the magnets in between the glue and the actual felt. Then all I do is the exact same thing again. I'm going to drop this on. I'm going to make sure that this is protruded ever so slightly over the card. Yep, so that is perfect. I'm then going to grab that magnet again, and a tiny amount of glue to hold it in position once it's dropped on, as we just have now. Give that just a moment to settle, and I'm going to fold that back as well, just as we did before. So hopefully that will now be dry. It just about is. It's staying on and it's in position. That's all I need. So I'm going to go back down with this, just like so. If you want to, rather than pushing down on that, you can just drop some more magnets on like this, okay? And this is going to help you see exactly what we've made so far. I'm not going to go with the scissors, I'm going to go with a craft knife, and I'm just going to cut this whole pattern out. Some of that off. Let's go back on itself. Yep, that locks in perfectly. Now let's do the exact same on the other side. I can see that there. You can see that as well, that there's a little piece which is overhanging. So let me just snip that off as well. Simple as that. So that, I think, will pretty much do it. I'm going to get rid of these 3 magnets for now. We are almost there, and it hasn't even took 10 minutes for me to actually explain how we make this. And all I'm going to do now is just cover the other side of the actual gimmick. Alright, so this is to hide the gimmick during the actual performance. So I'm going to place that on. That's going to cover the whole thing, just like so, and just like before. I'm going to grab the craft knife, and I'm just going to cut this little gimmick away. Just like this. And then we've got one final trick that I'm going to do, to grab a Sharpie and have a look for any white pieces. So I can see there's some white here, so I'm going to colour this little white bit in right there. And that, my friends, is the gimmick almost complete. And I'm going to take the Queen of Diamonds, the other queen, because remember we cut out 2. And what I'm going to do is just position this on top of the gimmick. I'm then going to take 3 extra magnets. We've already had these out because I was demonstrating earlier on. And I'm going to attempt in my... Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to drop this on. Alright, whoops. There we go. I'm going to make sure that this is aligned nice and neatly. So what I've noticed here is that my gimmick is just overlapping very slightly. This, by the way, is great. This will help add to the illusion, that little overlap. And now, whilst leaving these magnets on, what I'm going to do is just take them off one by one. Apply a little bit of glue. You'll need a fair amount of glue because... Oh, sorry, you can't see that there, but there we go. I'm going to attach a little bit of glue onto this one, so that's dropped on. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to grab the next magnet. I've got some glue on my finger here, so I'm just going to apply that to the actual magnet, drop that on as well, and then finally I'm going to take this last bit of glue that's disgustingly stuck to my finger, and I'm just going to attach it like this, and then this is going to dry. And that, my friends, is time moved forward. So what you can do is take another playing card, glue this, glue the back onto it, and then cut this off. I'm going to check and make sure that this looks good and it sits well, which it does. It's sitting really well. So the gimmick, once I've made this, as we can see, it protrudes over the edge. The actual playing card, once it's magnetized, protrudes over the edge. We want this to actually happen, and if you notice, it's only a couple of millimeters so. But if yours doesn't, do not worry. Take your scissors, cut along the edge, just a tiny amount off, all the way across the edge of the rip, and then cover it back up with your Sharpie and stick the felt right back down, and then your gimmick will protrude over the edge just like this. So that is the gimmick. Let's get into the handling. Okay, so now you have your made gimmick. On this occasion it is the Queen of Diamonds, and you will need to force a playing card on your participant that matches your gimmick and have it signed as well. Alright, so then you're going to proceed and perform one of your favourite routines, and then once you finish performing, you want all of that pressure to die down, almost as if the magic is completely over. This creates creates a moment of relaxation, and during that moment you can casually put your pen away or whatever it is that you want, and at the same time you are going to steal the gimmick and hide it in your hand like this. Then you're going to casually take the Queen of Diamonds back, or whatever the card is that the participant has selected, and we're going to secretly insert it into the gimmick like this. Remember, you don't have to do this awkwardly like this. It can just actually be done really relaxed. Everybody thinks that the magic is over, so there's no reason to worry about this. So you're just going to take the card, casually place it back in, and let that sit onto the actual card. Don't draw any attention to it, okay? You're not going to have everybody burning you like this. You're just going to keep the card close to your black t-shirt. Remember, you need to be wearing a black t-shirt or suit jacket or whatever it is that you're wearing, a waistcoat or whatever, but keep it towards yourself against that actual black. All right, if you're worried about people seeing this actual line, keep that pointed away from your spectators, but importantly, keep the card actually moving. Now we're going to come in, we're going to grab hold of the one piece of this gimmick right here and the other part of the card, and all I'm going to do is appear to rip the card, but what I'm doing is very simply separating the card, and at the same time this gimmick is going to pull back to my t-shirt, and in a more swifter motion we create this impression. So this is going to sit here for just a moment against my t-shirt, and notice that this arm comes forwards. It's effectively this hand, the card, the sleeve, the angles are kind of hiding this black art, and all this is doing is just making it that little bit more performable. Alright, so we rip, that goes forwards, I show this piece, and now if I want, I can instantly restore this card. There's a couple of different ways that we can restore this. We can just go straight back in and restore it. Not like that, I'll explain how it works. Or we've got this really cool little air restore like this. But let me go over the actual handling for that. So we rip the card like this, we can show this piece, and now what we can do is just come right back forward, so both hands come forwards, the magnets reconnect, and I'm just going to shake that card really quickly, and then what I'm going to do is steal this gimmick off, and this is really easy to do. My whole hand is going to come up and grab that gimmick, and I'm going to hold it into a finger palm, and I'm also going to spin the card, and in a more fluid, swifter motion, I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So we rip the card, bang, we restore it, and then we're just going to steal that gimmick right off. As the card is completely restored, it's secretly hidden here, and I'm just going to hand that card out to the participant to examine. All right, but the other way to execute a really cool restoration is where it looks like it is floating. So what we're going to do for this, we just do the exact same as before. We rip the card like this. I'm now going to come forwards, I'm going to let it reconnect for a moment, and then I'm going to separate the card again, only very slightly. Okay, and it doesn't look like the card is actually restored. It actually looks like I've just ripped it. It looks like I've pulled it back, and I'm going to keep it separate. And now what I'm going to do in a moment is just simply, bear in mind, all I'm doing is grabbing this gimmick right here, but what I'm going to do in a moment is just pull my thumb down and align that actual gimmick. All right, but what I need to do is I need to rip, show that it's ripped, I come back, and now I need to create the moment that it floats. So I need to keep it close to my t-shirt. All right, I need to let go and create a moment of it floating, which is this. The second I let go, and then I'm going to instantly move that thumb down and put the card back into position. Yes, at the moment you may well be able to see that line, but as I said earlier, we can very easily solve this, right? And the way it works is like this. We do the rip, we show the card, we restore, we hold, I bring it back to my chest to hide it against the black t-shirt, I let go, and I instantly come in to restore. So let's take a look at that. Bang, I rip the card, I then take it, I can show it, I restore the card, okay? And then the moment this comes back in, I'm going to start shaking, and this is gonna hide that actual rip, okay? So bang, we can show the card, we can heal that, we can shake it, and then at some point I'm gonna come in, I'm going to steal the whole gimmick in my hand like this. I'm going to show it and I'm going to hand that card right back out. And a real cool tip for you right here is my dirty hand that passes the card out. I actually hand it with the dirty hand, and that way there's more pressure and attention on this hand over here. I hand that out to be examined. People think that they may well, if they think there is something hiding, which hopefully they won't because we've executed it with a nice bit of perfection, we can then hand this out, that's going to be examined, and now I've got nothing to hide. That goes to the participant, and now all I've got to do is just drop my hands, pick up the rest of the cards, put them in my pocket, and simultaneously get rid of the little gimmick. It is as simple as that. So really cool little trick, looks absolutely brilliant. Let me show you both of the restorations one final time. We can rip the card, we can instantly restore, show the card and steal that little gimmick like this and hand that right over. Okay, and the second restoration, just for pure clarity, is the nice little floating illusion. We're just going to rip the actual piece, bang, we come back, we restore that restores, and just like before, we can take that and we can hand that right back out. So there you go. I really hope you enjoy it. Make sure you head to themiraclestudio.co.uk. That is my website where I also have a magic subscription service. You can join me here at the Miracle Studio. I have literally shared hundreds of pieces of magic and everything is really, really strong. We've got mentalism, mind reading magic. We have cards, coins. We even have a really cool selection of lectures. So it really is a fantastic archive of magic that just keeps growing. So that is themiraclestudio.co.uk. And again, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do hit subscribe. All right, take care of yourselves, everybody, and goodbye.